To develop a good tremolo takes some discipline and persistence. I have created this 32-day e-tremolo course to make this process as easy as possible for you. You only need to spend about 10 minutes a day for 32 days. I hope that using this program, developing tremolo, will be as easy as it can be for you. Hi there everyone, and welcome to the third of the Reach the Next Level live streams, where I'm sharing my ideas and my tips to you about how to develop our guitar playing in the best way. So hello John, thank you for being here. Good morning from America's finest city, San Diego. Nice to have you here. Brian, so good morning there. Yes, hello from Brian in Hampshire, England, and so good evening. Awesome, nice to have you here everyone. And today it is an edition about, I'm going to talk only about tremolo, and not so much even about tremolo pieces, because next week, if you're interested again, I have a whole live stream about Un Sueño en la Floresta by Barrios. It's such an amazing piece that we can talk a whole live stream about it, but excuse me. Today we are going to talk about tremolo. And as you saw in the beginning intro here, and as many of you know, I have created an e-version in order to develop a good tremolo. And today this live stream is very much about why I created that program. And I also want to mention that if any of you guys out there are working on it, or have worked on this program, or purchased it, this is a great opportunity to ask questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer those. I'm also going to, a little bit later, give you a little brief tour of what this course is like, okay? Anyway, as I mentioned in the video in the beginning, that was the short version, now comes the very long version, is that tremolo is something that requires a certain amount of discipline and kind of consistency. Anyway, let's just go back a little bit. Let's just talk about what a tremolo does. Of course, a tremolo is something that you can find on other instruments. Even on a bowed instrument, you do go back and forth to play many notes, over and over again. What happens if you have a note, okay, dum, dum, and even if it's short, if you play it fast enough, I mean, if you play it really fast, they made these tests also with tapes, and you can take short notes, and if you play them very, very fast, they start sounding like one, okay? So the tremolo is not quite that, but it kind of makes, instead of a note that is decaying, we're going, and all of a sudden we have a tremolo, okay? And this is, it's like on the mandolin or so this type of tremolo, as you're noticing, what is happening is that I'm just playing with one finger here up and down as if it was just a pick. And I'm doing it in a free way, so sometimes I go slowly and then I speed up, okay? And then, so the amount of notes per beat is varied, okay? That's one of the things about a regular kind of free going tremolo. Now this, on the classical guitar, which we refer to as the tremolo, which is this pattern of P, A, M, I. Okay, this pattern is basically limited to boom, bass, treble, 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 treble. So it's not quite as fluid as a freestanding tremolo. It's a little bit more rigid in time. And this is one of the things that also is very charming about it, because we can achieve a kind of evenness that really creates this feeling of... But in a mysterious way, each time we play the bass, it's very clear. It does something quite incredible to the voice leading on the guitar. And I mean, it's just one of these things. The tremolo is so wonderful. It's such a wonderful technique. And I know a lot of people. I mean, I always feel that when I perform a concert, there should be at least one piece there that is tremolo. I remember once I did a program that had more than 4 or 5 pieces with tremolo. So there you go. John, nice. It gives me the shakes. Oh, thank you so much. Danny, hi. Hey Danny, good to have you here. Saludos desde Jujuy, Argentina. Gracias por su gran aporte. Well, thank you for being here. Gracias, muchas gracias. Hope you can catch a little bit. Although I'm not speaking Spanish. Ryan, hello. Ahmad, hello there, Johannes. So great. Guys, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for being here. Well, Gregor, hello. So we're talking about tremolo. Boom, bum, 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 boom. So anyway, we could also spend all day talking about how wonderful the tremolo is. But of course, it's a very difficult technique because it requires, although if we separately do each little part we do, in itself is not so complicated, actually. What makes it complicated is the sequence, okay? And in which way we need to be able to control this movement of the fingers in a very rhythmical way, and in a way where we can go from slow to fast. And that I'm going to point out already now, because that's something, that's why actually I wanted to start off by showing you how charming that freestanding tremolo was. Because we want to remember that a tremolo is made for something that is usually a very beautiful beautiful line, right? Melodious. It's not something you would play because it's not that. It's not that will be. All right. It could sing. It could be. There can also be in tremolo these kind of pieces, but mostly the pieces we are at least So what I'm trying to show you here is really how important it is to go from slow to fast. So the end result, what we're aiming for, is to be able to control the sequence of 4 notes so well that we can create these melodic lines. And this is a little bit what makes the tremolo particularly difficult. And anyway, I have sort of created, and one of the reasons why I have created the E-Tremolo course is because I did find myself that the way to get good at tremolo was to practice in a very with a lot of, as I mentioned, discipline, let's say. So you need to do it. It's not something you just do one day and that's it. The best and most efficient way is to do it a little bit regularly. So let's say each day or let's say every day or every day you play guitar. So it's a little bit of this, and once you do that over a few weeks, you can see really kind of a result with that. And there's also a certain way which I pull it apart, which will help a lot. All right, so I'm going to go ahead a little bit and show you a little bit my ideas about developing tremolo. And saying that, of course, as you see here, it's already here. You can purchase this online course. And of course, it's one of the best products in terms of what value for money I have, actually, because this is something you get 32-day lessons, and the amount of sort of information you can get out of here is very good. So let me go a little bit and show you a little bit here. So this is part of the program too, is the PDF guidebook. And you can do this without the videos, but in this, which I'm going to show you later, we're basically doing these exercises with a video. But let me just, also for you guys who are doing these, let me just explain a little bit more detail in this session what is actually going on. Okay, so I start off this course extremely basic, okay? And I start off so basic that the first thing we're basically trying to achieve is stability here. And stability, number one, and number two, what I'm trying to achieve is perfect, like the perfect movements, let's say, the perfect plucks here in the tremolo. So what I do, because already when we have to do P, A, M, I, it's already quite complex. So actually I recommend starting without the thumb. But what we are doing, we are resting the thumb, as you can see here, on the 5th string. So I'm resting the thumb on the 5th string. Now what I'm doing is playing the, you know, in a different rhythm though. I'm playing A, M, I, A, M, and separating that. So without, because this is, let's say, a segment in the tremolo, and I'm pulling that apart now. All right? And what this makes you do, and this we also in the videos, there will be a metronome. And of course, if you're doing this, you should start very slow and then go gradually faster. This is one of the advantages of using the course, the online e-course, because there, each day you will get slightly faster. Anyway, what you really should listen out for while doing this exercise, okay? This is number one, by the way. I will zoom that in a little more so there's no confusion, okay? So, it's to look out for, first of all, hand position. I said the right hand thumb should rest here as ready to play. Now we're basically looking for a hand position where my hand is now relaxed, and all these guys have to do is this da da dum. All right, da da dum. As you see, I even stay inside the hand and then relax. Alright, so I'm just trying to perfect this. This is a good opportunity to listen. If your nails are very not well done, it will be harder. But try to really do your nails. And now, try. You see how the last one wasn't quite the same sound. So I'm trying to put my hand in a position where I can create very easily 3 as similar sounds as possible. Okay? And be aware, I'm using the open E string, which is basically the one that is the hardest to make a good sound, alright? But the open E string is also very loud, so be aware that rather than trying to overplay it, the open E string generally works the best when we try to find, you know, a kind of a dynamic spot where it becomes nice and clean. Hear that? Alright, so this is the beginning, no thumb. And if we now do this repeatedly for a while, what you will notice is that you feel very stable here. Alright? So then when we do reach the next exercise, where we're still working on stability, because we're doing all the notes in staccato, and what happens when you do staccato is the finger have to go back, except in the thumb, and notice what I'm doing in the treble. So the finger, and in this case after the I, the A finger is damping. So you get, so the next finger in line basically makes the staccato. And because you have to make it also in the bass here, basically there's always a finger on the fifth, on a string, okay? So that makes your hand position is now starting to become very stable, okay? Just like it was in the first exercise. Alright, so we go from this and now to, so we're still keeping extremely good balance. Stability, not just balance, stability. Carlos, hey Johannes Moller, hey everybody. Carlos, thank you so much for joining us here. Of Garden, tremolo on second string is really difficult. It feels very unstable when the melody moves a lot on the same string. Hello Michael. Hi Johannes says hello. Well, Regina, this is a very good question too, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Actually, yes, one is harder to play it on the second string. Partly also because it's easier to hit the other string. Again, but actually in my course I start on purpose on the first string, and we later move on to using the other strings. Because in the beginning I want to focus on just getting the movement and the sound right, okay? I'm not having to think about. So this is exercise 2. Then what I'm moving on to, in order to create rhythmic control here, is sorry, there it is, 3. It's basically a tremolo, but what I'm doing, I'm taking one of the notes out. All right, so in this case, first one here, you can see it here. It's P, M, I, P, M, I. And this, you see, coming to this exercise, it's the one that is before is the one with the staccato. So you must understand now why this is also moving so gradually, and why it's so good to do it in this particular order, is that now it's after this one, it was very stable with the staccatos. Now doing this, you're gonna notice already your hand is very stable, although we're not now preparing anything, we're just playing P, M, I, P, M, I, P, M, I, P, M, I, P. And here again, this is very important to do with metronome. Number 2 here. Then the third one, pay attention so not the hands start going. And that's what we're coming back to the stability again. And as you're noticing also, you're paying attention, it's only strings 5 and 1. So this is really how we do this. And that continues with a few more exercises. And actually this is one of my personal favorites, you could say, the dotted rhythm, where you go. Okay? Again, it's a great exercise, but it needs to be done a lot. And again, with metronome. What we can now see, not until the 5th exercise, we're actually starting to shift the thumb. And that's again very much on purpose. Until now we started with the thumb just stable on the 5th string, and then with staccato, and then it's playing freely. And then now not until the 5th exercise, which is actually already almost not half, but it's already like a week down the course, you haven't actually used any other strings. So again, this order is important, because by the time you get here now, it will be very stable. Because here's the thing, what actually normally in a tremolo, yes, it's hard to also play on the second string, but what is also very difficult in tremolo is the fact that the thumb, if you play on the first string, the thumb has to go from the second to the sixth string. That's a lot of distance actually for the thumb, taking in consideration that, as you can, you know, I think most people would agree and experience is that you want these to be stable, because if you move, then it will be very hard for the fingers to create this beautiful even tremolo. The fingers want to be in the same situation, same position, in order to be nice and, you know, strong. So the thumb actually has to work a lot. So here we go. What I start with is not yet from the sixth. Again, we start now from the fifth string, working our way down to the third. Also not yet. See, so we're adding 2 new strings, and doing so firstly by using the staccato, so that again we're really now becoming stable. Then basically, as you can see what is happening here, there are the 3 basic exercises. Was the staccato, then you have the one when I take out the note, and then you have the other rhythms. These are the most important exercises. I mean, those are the most important variations. So you can see here, we're just applying those variations. So as you go on in this course, you will notice that although you now are playing sequences that are very long, and you can, for example, see what I do here. I go down using everything goes down a string. So even as you're working through this program, you're noticing that you're becoming longer and longer sequences, but it's quite easy for you to execute them because you practiced each of these rhythmical permutations on its own. And for example here, we can see, here we go. All right? And then it starts getting even more fun here. We're getting... So before, what I did, I played 5, 4, 3, and I avoided the second, okay? Because actually, this again is quite the most tricky thing, and maybe is to play the thumb on the string, on the second string, and the fingers on the first string. Or let's say in any case where you're playing the string, like in Riccardo's Alhambra here, you hit the third string. That is kind of the tricky. So here we go, we get a whole little set here that is focused on practicing those, you know, the thumb next to the finger. So you go. This is musically maybe not so satisfying, but and so on we go. By, you see, what simple thing here, the same thing now. You're doing the same, just changing the strings, all right, and changing the rhythms. So as you see, understand, there's quite a few permutations, and you want to do those gradually. Then eventually we're moving. So this course is then advancing from now having to use. Now we were using. So first we were here, then we used these. We used 4 different strings, now use 2 at the same time, and now we're going to the, which is the most difficult for the thumb, is to move the whole way across. So again, we come back to our kind of ugly staccatos, but those force us to be stable, and then to, you know, develop this other pattern. So by the time you reach this far in the course, you become very familiar with these patterns, and they become very habitual and very strong. And then we also, so as you notice, and saying that tremolo is mainly a right hand technique. So we haven't really used much of we haven't used the left hand at all. It's almost been on holiday this whole, as you notice, with these exercises. But eventually we need, of course, to also think about the left hand. And what you see here what I do is I'm introducing the left hand, but I'm only, I do it a little bit in a different way. So I let the left hand change, you see, on the last note. So for example, okay, and then after that on the third note, and then the last one is like a regular tremolo. Okay, so this is a very nice way to introduce the left hand. I'm not going to go through so much more now, because basically the last thing that happens that I do here in this course before it's kind of let you fly and enjoy your new tremolo is that we're taking Malagueña. So this is, you can actually take any tremolo piece and use all the exercises you learned. In this case I use a Malagueña just because it's so simple and so lovely, so that you still, you know, it's not becoming too complicated. It's not like I'm playing the whole of Ricardo style Alhambra with all the exercises. I'm just playing this really awesome 4-bar, you know. So first staccato, and then you see I'm and then I go on to also, these are a little bit more musically satisfying than the other ones. Alright? And now I'm gonna... Anyone has any questions, is a great moment to ask. Actually, I want to continue a little bit now by showing you what this course now is like. So this is what it looks like if you have logged in, you purchased the login. Details here now, it's on my website, but a special part. So it is johannesmoller.com/tremolo, and there when you purchase a course you get a password and you enter, da-da, here we are, okay? And this is basically how it looks. I wanted to make this as easy and uncomplicated as possible. Hopefully I succeeded. As you see, day 1, day 2, day 3, it just goes on like this, alright? So you can just basically go on, and these are different videos. And some of them, like you can see here, lesson, you see on the day 1 you also have lesson 1. Then, to make it clear here, I have the subtitles kind of. Then, basically what's going to happen the day after, what happens in day 1 is there's a lesson, and then the starts now, the practicing videos. So these are videos, as I saw in the beginning, that you'll be playing with the video. It will look something like this. You see here, I'm counting down. See how that's going. So this is, for example, here. Oh, because there's no sound, sorry. So there was a countdown there. Let's do that again, like this. And now I'm just, so we're starting very slowly, okay? And then in day 3, for example, we're getting lesson 2, okay, for example. So then there will be a lesson, so it will start like this, where I am a little bit talking to you. In the second lesson, like this. We are going to focus on stability. Okay, and then followed by, again, more practicing videos. And so for you to be able to, of course, the easiest way is just to do day 1, day 2, so on. But I also wanted you to be able to see those, and you can come back to those lessons and look at them a bit more times too. Lesson 2, lesson 3, and then in total there are 8 lessons. And it does move pretty gradually. Some people ask me, shall I, some people do several in a day. This is possible, but generally speaking, I recommend just keeping that actually, just keeping it to following the schedule, just because it needs that thing that you take a day, you go to sleep, something happens, and the next time you come to the guitar, that's kind of where the magic happens. We think a lot of it is when we just practice, but actually it's about practicing very focused, and then kind of forget about it, go to sleep, have your brain somehow do something to it, and there you go, it gets developed. And then you have lesson 4, finger independence. Lesson 5, alternative strings. You can see a little bit I explained before. You can understand adding the left hand, and then comes the malagueña, and in the end. And another question that people ask me, okay, I finished. So this is one question, since I didn't get, I got them from before. What do I do when I finish? Well, first of all, if you did finish, great job. That is awesome. Well, if you can of course use them again. Then you can also go back if there was some particular part, like for example, let's say that the rhythmic control was really important to you, so you can also go back all the way there. Or basically, the way to understand these videos is to higher the number, the more difficult is the video. So you can challenge yourself in a different way. You can say, oh, today I want to do 15, and also, as you can understand, as you see here, I put advanced, very advanced. And to be honest with you, even these last days, I can't get it every time. It's just, I wanted the last end to be a little bit unreachable, because I don't want it to be like, oh, I think, this was too easy. No, it just shows me that even for myself, we should always have that sense. And that's why you can also, use this course. Of course, after you have the day, finished the 32 days, of course you can go back, and find, you can also just, it's a bit random a little bit. You can just pick one even. I mean, this is always useful, all right? Is this strictly for advanced players, asks John? No, not at all. As you notice, as we're starting, it's really very simple. And actually, if anything, this course starts off on purpose. It's holding back. It's going slow tempo, so that, and this is whether you're a beginner or advanced. The key is to, you can never do it slow enough. You can't really it can't be perfect enough. There's a never ending process, let's say, Perfecto, saludos cordiales. Awesome, from Jose. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about tremolo, and I want to explain a little bit again about this course. This is of course very rigid. It's done with the metronome. It seems perhaps contradictory to what I said in the beginning, where I said that we want to be able to play slow and fast. But here's the thing, because we trained from slow to fast, we have now trained all these different things. And what is then, of course, a whole other level, which is this course is for the training of the tremolo. Then, of course, when it comes to learning the pieces, it's a little bit more to it. But I want to just give you a few tips, which is also a part, also in the very last lesson in this course, I go through that. Some important pointers, and again, now in the course it will be I made it want to be very concise, very as unlong as, like, opposite from now. I'm just babbling on. So in the video, whatever I said, you can look at it many times and look at it again. But here are the few basic things when it comes to practicing tremolo pieces that I always recommend, okay? And what we start off with is to practice in 2. So I would lovely record this. See? Because what we forget when we play tremolo is that it really is, there is really, how should I explain this? I explained much better in the course. No, here you can see here, actually this is the best way to understand what is the notation. In a way can be confusing in a tremolo, because we don't, this one is usually linked to this one, but what is happening in reality is this, but it wouldn't be practical to write it out that way. But in reality, if you see, right, I'm not this one, because again I want to create the effect that the note is long, like one voice. So you want the note to ring over when the bass ring, in all cases possible. And the only times you cannot do that is when you have a shift, right? Then we can no longer do that. All right, and what we instead get, which is very lovely, is that we can make a, instead to cover up that kind of gap we get, is we can use glissando. So every time you have a shift, glissando is tremendously, you know, there's so many kinds of glissandos. There are big fat ones, or there are little tiny mouse glissandos that you don't notice. But in the tremolo, the glissandos are super important. And now, coming back to why do we practice it in two? It's basically, it's a little bit to give the left hand a break. Because what is happening in the left hand, for example, shift I cannot, but in all the other cases the note is always ringing over. Okay, so it's not that it's not that it's together, it's actually, and this is a little bit of a, this is like the super level, all right, of playing tremolo, is when you can also coordinate the left hand in that way. Like here, I'm not going, you see, I'm not going, I'm going. So I let the very last, just like I was showing in the recuerdos here, the very last note rings over, you see, like this, and then you change. This was recuerdos, for example. So how that. So when I do it in two, I become more aware of that, because in reality, what it really is going on is one line on the top, and then you have a bass, all right, with the thumb, or the middle can also be middle voices, but ideally, right, the first string should be as, we let every note ring on. That is, I'm making myself understood with that. So this is kind of like the thing about getting to the actual tremolo pieces. This has been an awesome live stream, and we're about to pack up here. But I want to say one more thing about practicing tremolo pieces. Okay, and this is the thing that I actually done this. So what you do, so this is like, you practice the exercises, you learn the tremolo piece, now we're trying to take this to this super, super high level. And what I recommend then is go back to these exercises that we learned, these patterns, and do it. First staccato, okay, and then I do it. And then see what I'm doing? I'm now going through all of these different patterns with the whole piece or by a section. I mean, if you do that with, you know, all those exercises in your tremolo piece, you will really know it very well. Believe me. So anyway, this has been so much fun, and we're about to stop here, but I would like to say that this goes on, because next week we're going to really look into detail into the composition Un Sueño and La Floresta. And I know in a way these sessions have been very focused on technique, and of course reaching the next level is not only about the technique. And so next week will really be a more in-depth, and we're going to talk a little bit about musical things a little bit more. And well, I just basically love that piece, and well, I could talk about it in many live streams, but for next week we're going to kind of take a closer look to Un Sueño en La Floresta by Agustín Barrios. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We're going to stop here. You can see again. Alright, I'm going to play you once more, the promo. Alright, thank you so much. If anyone is interested, also have questions about the eTremolo course. I'm also taking, of course, private students at the moment. You may have seen the other ads. There's currently still a 20% off 5 lesson bundles. That is the super best deal I ever had. Okay, except from the tremolo course. But thank you so much for being here, and good night, good afternoon, good morning, everything. Bye bye. To develop a good tremolo takes some discipline and persistence. I have created this 32-day eTremolo course to make this process as easy as possible for you. You only need to spend about 10 minutes a day for 32 days. I hope that using this program, developing tremolo, will be as easy as it can be for you.